Now, the multidimensionality of human security is very profound. We'll start by looking at economic security. We've mentioned 7 different dimensions of human security. So let's look at economic security first. What is economic security? Economic security, of course, is the ability for either a state, individual, organization, to be able to conduct economic activities and profit from them. This is in a safe space, of course. This essentially establishes that if you are carrying out, you are not able to carry out free economic activities and be able to make profit, with reference to what you are engaging in or you're putting in or what you're investing in, then we can safely assume that there is no economic security in that regard. So that means that economy is not secure because, one, you cannot carry out economic activities safely, and there is no proper framework structures that are in place in order to make sure that you are not cheated or you are not defrauded or you do not profit in the same manner in which you are supposed to profit ordinarily. So that means that if that all of these things that I've mentioned are lacking, then there is a shortage in there's an absence in economic security. That's the first dimension of human security that we must consider, economic security. Then you look at food security. Food security, as the name implies, do we have enough food? Do we have the right kind of food? Do we have the good quality food that we should have? Now, when you look at all these 3 things, they come together to enable us understand food security. So when there's a shortage of food, food security has been affected. When there is not enough nutritious food, there is food available, but the food is not nutritious. It's not what it's supposed to be. That also speaks to food security. And also, do we have the capacity or is there opportunity for food production? Okay, so those are the 3 things that engender food security. You have enough food, is it nutritious? Okay, and is there opportunity to produce food? If you lack the opportunity to produce food, then that means food security has been, affected. For instance, if you lack the good land, arable land on which to plant, okay, and produce food, that means there is a problem with food security. If you also lack nutritious food, then there's a problem with food security. And then if you lack food completely, that also impinges on food security. So these 3 things are the key issues that affect food security. Then we move on to health security. Health security is the lack of available facilities to ensure proper health. 1, the lack of available facilities to ensure proper health. Okay, that ensures health security. The lack of drugs, amenities, okay, also affects it. So we're not just talking about hospitals, structural facilities that are in place. We're also talking about, the drugs that should be available and the therapy that should be available for people that are seeking treatment. When that is not available, then that affects health security. Then we also talk about the conditions, living conditions. Do we have proper living conditions that can prevent, the outbreak of diseases? For instance, sanitation, good sanitary conditions. Is there a good sewage system, good waste disposal systems, things like that? Now, all of this constitute what we deal with when we're talking about health security. Because if you do not have proper sanitation, then there's a lack. Okay, there's a health security has been compromised. The health security of that community or that people have been compromised. Now, if the environment, okay, is also maybe very bushy and a lot of mosquitoes are there, and there are other forms of diseases that are also easily, contracted in that kind of environment, we can also say there's a shortage or some form of impingement on health security in that wise. Okay, now what about the lack of drugs? Okay, the lack of proper personnel, proper medical personnel in which to provide health services to people. The lack of such people also impinges on health security. So when you put all these things together, we're now able to get a better picture of health security, what health security entails. So this is also one of the critical dimensions of human security that we need to be conscious of when we talk about the multidimensionality of human security. Now, what about environmental security? Environmental degradation and also global warming and climate change has also presented a very strong issue for environmental security. Why? Because the environment which we live in, okay, has to be secure. It has to have some form of integrity and protection, okay, from the forces of nature. That's one. And when this is lacking, that particular form of security is compromised. Floods, okay, earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, all these form of natural disasters have been able to display to us that when the environment, okay, is not secure from any of these form of natural disasters, it affects the integrity of human security. The human beings that live within the environment that is flooded are the ones that suffer. Okay, the human beings that live within those environments are the ones that suffer. When there's a flood, when there's an earthquake, when there's some form of environmental degradation taking place. For instance, we have people in the Niger Delta as a consequence of oil spills and some of the byproducts of oil drilling and production that has destroyed the environment. Their security has been seriously affected. Why? Because the environment has become, is no longer conducive. Has become very, very tragic for them to live in. So environmental security is critical to understanding the multidimensionality of human security. Now, apart from environmental security, talk about personal security. Personal security is also critical. As an individual, how secure are you, safe from other dangers, harm to yourself? Personal security essentially encapsulates, the prevention of harm to yourself, your property, your family, personal security. So, when we look at personal security, what comes to mind is safety, let's say from robbers, from banditry, from terrorism, all those kind of things. Security from damage to the very integrity of your person. That when it is compromised, we know that human security, personal security, has been breached. Okay, so personal security is one of the 7 that we must also consider. Then community security. Security does not come just in terms of your person. It also comes in terms of your security, just like with your community, just like we saw security coming in terms of the environment. There are some communities that are not secure. Maybe they have been attacked. We've seen cases of genocide recently in Nigeria, in which a set of people are targeted. That is community security. Communities in the Middle Belt have been targeted primarily because certain sets of people want to take their land from them. This is modern day warfare in which communities are being attacked and completely obliterated because, some other set of people want to take over those places, and annex them for their own personal use. That is community security. When there's a lack of community security, then you can be sure that the whole concept of human security, has been compromised in that regard. So apart from community security, finally, the 7th one is political security. Political security is critical. It's very, very important. Most of us are being aware of political security, the fact that the stability of the political systems and structures of a state society ensure political security. However, when we observe as a result of, let's say, political machinations and political violence and things like that, we lose peace and security in that area. We have seen the extent to which it can affect, not just that immediate state, but it can, completely affect the whole nation. Some of us that been around for a while, you have been able to, you have testimonies of political instability in different states of the country, Nigeria here, for instance, and how that has gone ahead to bring about violence that has affected the personal security, of individuals and communities in those particular states. So political security is very important. So that means the creation of stable political structures, enduring political structures, okay, that would meet the test of time, not structures that are born out of corrupt elections, despotism, and so on and so forth. The structures that have at the back of them, or their planning, or their institutionalization, the human being, the interests of the human being. Structures that are created in that manner, are more likely to last, are more likely to endure, are more likely to secure the people. So subsequently, we are now going to look at the third pillar. We've looked at people-centered security. We looked at the multidimensionality of human security. Now we're going to look at interconnectedness. The interconnectedness of all the dimensions. When we talk about human security, when we talk about the multidimensionality of human security, this is very, very important for us to look at that. So we're going to start looking at the interconnectedness of all these dimensions of human